All right, so get this. We're going to look at something super interesting today.
Oh, yeah.
Prudential Financial, the big insurance company. They've got this different approach to life insurance when it comes to nicotine.
Interesting.
And get this, they're more lenient on some kinds of tobacco and nicotine than others.
Okay.
Like way more lenient. We've got this excerpt straight from Prudential.
Okay.
It explains their policies, and you might be thinking, well, why should I care about this?
Yeah.
Well, it could actually affect you if you're ever thinking about getting life insurance.
Oh, I see.
So help us unpack this a little bit.
Sure. So basically, it comes down to how life insurance companies decide how risky someone is.
Right.
They use these things called underwriting classifications to figure out how likely someone is to, well, die during the time they're covered.
Okay.
And that's why smoker rates exist.
Right.
Statistically, smokers have more health problems and they don't live as long.
So it's like predicting risk, kind of like with car insurance.
Exactly.
Your driving record affects your rates.
Precisely.
If you get a lot of tickets, you're going to pay more.
Yeah. But here's where Prudential's approach gets really interesting.
Okay.
They say that people who smoke cigars, they might actually qualify for non-smoker rates.
Really?
Yeah. And what's even crazier, people who use smokeless tobacco, like chewing tobacco, they can also get those non-smoker rates.
Even though they're using tobacco?
Yeah, even if they test positive for nicotine, as long as they haven't smoked cigarettes in the past year.
Wow. That's not what I was expecting at all.
Right.
Like, you think about all the health warnings and everything.
Right.
It makes me wonder if there have been any studies on this.
Yeah.
Like long-term health effects of those things compared to cigarettes.
That's a great question. And it's one that Prudential probably considered very carefully.
Okay.
You see, their reasoning most likely comes down to what we call risk profiles. There's tons of research that links smoking cigarettes to all sorts of serious health problems.
Right, for sure.
I mean, decades worth.
Yeah.
But other ways of using nicotine, while they're definitely not risk-free, they might not have that same level of long-term risk.
So they're kind of betting on that based on their data.
Well, yeah, at least that's what their data seems to be telling them.
Huh. This Prudential policy really makes you think.
Definitely.
It's like, if they're right about these different risks, should other insurance companies be doing the same thing?
Yeah.
Or is Prudential just, kind of out there on their own with this?
That's a really interesting question, and it speaks to this bigger trend in insurance.
Okay.
Personalization.
Oh.
As we gather more data and we start to understand, like, the finer points of risk,
Right.
could we start seeing more policies that are, like, tailor-made based on your specific habits and your health?
Wow. Yeah, that makes sense. It kind of makes you think about how we talk about nicotine as a whole, too.
Oh.
Like, if different ways of using nicotine are actually, different in terms of how dangerous they are, shouldn't public health messages be, like, more specific about that?
Absolutely. That's a really important point.
Yeah. So today we've learned about Prudential's kind of different approach to nicotine and life insurance. I guess the big takeaway here is that risk assessment is changing.
It is, and as it changes, it leaves us with a lot to think about.
True.
What does this mean for the future of insurance?
Yeah.
And how will it affect, like, how we talk to people about the dangers of nicotine?
Those are great questions. Things to think about for sure. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
This was really interesting.
Yeah, this was great.
Always fascinating to see how these things are changing.
Definitely.